Hi there. This is my lesson plan about it's in conjunction with sorry. Um, it uses English language arts and science for third grade students, and as you can see in here, my measurable objectives have to do with their academic vocabulary and making sure that that's in there, and being able to sort. The academic vocabulary is both for science and for language arts and has to do with states of matter, water changing form. And then we also use language arts academic vocabulary that is time, is time, like cause and effect, and sequential language such as first, second, third, before, after. The next thing I want to do for language arts in this lesson is I want the students to be able to sort through the text and understand the structure within the text and how they can and how that is transferable to all other expository reading and writing, where there's a main idea, a topic, a main idea, and supporting ideas and details, and then a conclusion at the end. So I have an assessment at the end for that as well. And then as far as the science alone, I want to make sure they understand the concept that heat energy, when it's given or taken away from water, can change the matter from a solid to a liquid to a gas, and the terminology that goes along with that as well. So in order to reach all the students and kind of level the playing field, the first thing I want to do is show them some laminated images, such as clouds and STEAM, and see if the students can match up the academic vocabulary with the images that they see. And so in order to do this, I want to put them at a big group table and make sure that they can work out in pairs. So each student is going to get either a picture or the word, and they'll have to work out. Sorry, let me get this back open again. They'll have to work out whether or not that, I'm not sure why it won't open. They'll have to work out whether or not the picture matches up with the academic vocabulary, the two of them. So that way we won't have the students that are extroverts really take over the activity. Everybody is responsible for either an image or a word in text, and then they have to find their match. They have to find their partner that way. So that'll give me a little bit of a pre-assessment for them, and will help us raise some discussion about it, and so we can increase some background knowledge, and I can kind of see where everybody is. So later on in the lesson, the students are going to get, let me move my window here. The students are going to get this text. The text has to do, it comes from the Usborne book, and this is the Usborne book that I use, but there is a newer version of this book. But here's a picture, and so during we kind of did our pre-reading strategy with the front loading with images, and so during reading strategy, everybody's going to have their highlighters out. And then they're also going to have a pen to underline with, or a colored pencil. And we're going to go through and we're going to first highlight the headings and the subheadings. And then when we come across a word that is a vocabulary word or an interesting word to us, or we feel like might be important, like water vapor or evaporating, that those words are our vocabulary words that we started with. And so we're going to underline those and draw some close attention to those. Now, I'm not going to at first deal with the language arts, time-sensitive words here. We'll add those in later when the students are doing their post-reading activity. That'll be something that they kind of use when they're working in their journals a little bit later and identifying things in their own pictures. So here's an example of the post-reading strategy. And so here they're going to draw a picture of kind of the experiments that we do based on the text. And then here's where I will instruct them to use certain words for each page. Like today we're going to do this one page, and this first page we're going to use the words first, second, and third. So we have to make sure they're in the right order. First means it's first. So first we set this bowl out, and then second we're going to look at it tomorrow, and then third we're going to look at it on Thursday. And when we do that, we're going to add in some notes on the side and finish our pictures about where the water line is. And then later on, when we do another experiment on another day, we can work with another word like the word because. Now we're going to add in here too some of our academic vocabulary. So these will be written up on the whiteboard for the students, and any students that need a little extra assistance will all have a reference. They'll all have a reference sheet with their vocabulary and definitions with pictures associated with it if they need it. But this is just an example for the students to see and for you to see of what my idea is there. So in order to do some assessments at the end, we are going to complete a close activity, which just makes sure that the students that understand the concepts of the science, and they also understand the science vocabulary and can apply it appropriately in context. And then the students will do a self-assessment, even though I will be also kind of doing formative assessments on their journals each day, that they're going to do a self-assessment on each page of their journal to see if if their illustrations highlight the key points. Are they labeled with science vocabulary, and are they labeled with the language arts vocabulary? And then they get a positive point for just having a growth mindset and just being, we don't always have that, but if you have a growth mindset that day and you feel like you didn't, you put in your best effort, then you give yourself a +1 for that and you get a little bonus. So that is two of our assessments that we do. And then the final assessment, just to make sure that the students have to make sure the students have the structure for expository text down, is we have a sorting activity here, and you can see that this is a template I use all the time with my students. So anytime something can be sorted and categorized and put in order and sequence, I can throw whatever we're working on into this Excel template and cut it up, and I can laminate it if I want to use it more than once. And then the students have to match things in order. So these aren't in order. They just get these cards, and every student gets a set of cards, and they have to sort them out. And when they think they've got them sorted, that the main idea is either water or is the topic water. So they have to know which one's more specific. You have a topic, but what's the main idea? It's a little bit more specific. So they also have to know supporting details, and then the conclusion at the end, which they'll have to match this up, that water does not vanish, because that was the science question we started with. Does water vanish? The conclusion was, does it vanish? Water does not vanish. So that's the gist of it. And that way I can be sure they have the gist of everything we learned. They understand the expository text structure, they understand the academic vocabulary, and they've done some reading strategies as well. Now, when I do go through the book with them, through the text with them, we're not going to do it all at once, but when we do go through it, I'm going to stop and discuss with them the pictures to make sure that they understand that, hey, this picture is showing us exactly what to do. So this will help them kind of understand that they need to take pause when they're reading to look at the pictures and figure out if they match up with their understanding of what the text is saying as well. So that is about all for my summary of my lesson plan. If you have any questions, please contact me. But I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.